Good morning, and welcome back to another edition of Tool Tuesday. This is H4 WordWorks, and my name is Randy. Today, we're going to talk about my new miter saw. This is the Delta Cruzer that I picked up a few weeks ago on Amazon, and this saw replaced my older DeWalt that some of you have seen previously mounted to the stand. This older saw here was a DeWalt 12-inch non-sliding miter saw. It had been abused in its previous owner, so I had a few issues where it wasn't very square and I needed the extra cut capacity. So I upgraded to this saw. This is a 12-inch compound sliding miter saw, and I have it paired with a Hurcles brand from Harbor Freight miter saw stand. I will talk a little bit about both of these saws. I won't go into huge details and overviews and unboxings of this saw. There's plenty of videos out there. I'll post links down below into that. And also anything that I talk about or today, whether it's the saw itself, the dust collection, I'll add links also to that. This will be my own personal opinions of the saw, my impressions of the saw, and I'll do a few cut demonstrations, and we'll do that both for the saw and for the stand. So if you guys do like this type of content, please feel free to like and subscribe. For those of you that have already liked and subscribed, thank you very much. And if you would like to see a more detailed comment or example of this saw, please leave a comment below and I'll look at doing that. Let's go ahead and get the camera reset up and we'll talk a little bit more in detail specifics of this saw. Again, this is the Delta Cruzer. This is the model 26251. Is a 12-inch compound sliding miter saw, and we'll go over a few overall dimensions of this saw. As it sets in its standard stowed configuration or the normal position that you would use it, you have about 6 inches of cut capacity in this configuration by about 4 inches high, and in the full extension of this saw, it gives you approximately 14 inches from the fence to the full extension. So this saw has the articulating arm action on this. Very smooth, extremely smooth gliding. Only about 3 saws have this type of design. The Delta, its exact twin, the Rigid, which is just a different color, and the Bosch. I was 90% sold on getting the Bosch until I went on to Amazon to buy it and found that this one was on sale that day. And I picked it up, plus it matches with my stand, which is nice. This allows this articulating arm action contrary to other miter saw designs that uses a bar system in the back. This keeps a much smaller footprint, especially helpful for smaller shops like myself or contractor or contract jobs. It keeps the same exact footprint as my previous Delta non-sliding, or excuse me, DeWalt non-sliding saw. So that's a very convenient factor. One thing we'll look at here real quick on the different, there's essentially 3 positions here. DeWalt or Delta calls this position number 2. I'll call it position 1. But this is your standard up and down chop saw where you're going to use it 90% of the time for use. They also have a position 1, and this is adjusted by a small release mechanism on the back of the arms by pulling it up and reseating it into position 1. In position 1, this is for baseboards, which I don't think I'll use much, but it gives a little bit more room out here for when cutting baseboards. And then obviously the position 3 is completely unlocked, allows it to slide its full travel. Again, extremely smooth travel. One of the things that people have noted is there is quite a bit of deflection, left to right deflection, which if you're normal operating the saw and you're not, He-manning on it, this very smooth. I can basically move it with one finger back. So we'll lock it back in place here, and then this knob here is for the vertical up and down movement of the head. One of the things here I wish I had was a little better cable management. So I just kind of hang the cable over this clamp that it comes with. It slides into 2 slots in the back. So so that you can clamp your work pieces down. I typically don't see myself going to be using this that often and that much. It just kind of sits back here in the back. I'll move it out of the way for now. So with this being a compound miter, means it has two different mitered positions. The standard miter position that you're going to use most of the time and that I'm going to use is the left to right miter. And to operate this is a small twist knob to unlock. The button here, it'll give you full 50-degree of travel miter to the left and 60-degree miter to the right. Now, that's where this clamp comes into play. If you do have it here, it does limit your travel to the right on the 60-degree. You also have preset detents at 60, 45, 33.9, 22.5, and 0. So those are preset, but you can at any point lock it down into any other position. Say you want to do a 10-degree cut, and then just twist this lock over, and it is now locked in place and not going anywhere. So that's that. That's the first set of miters. The other miter is in the back. Now this rotates your head up to 45 degrees to the right. And to do this, there's a paddle. Release the paddle here. 2 paddles in the back. Release those paddles, and you can rotate it all the way over to 45. Again, it has built-in detents at 45, 33.9, 22.5, and of course back to 0. And when you get it into the position that you want it, not only lock it on this paddle here, but this paddle up front, and that will prevent it from moving in any position outside of that. So that's your 2 major cut areas. One other thing that this saw does have for cutting that you can't see probably from the camera angle you're at, but there's another small mechanism lever in the back that allows this saw to basically sit and prevent it from going all the way down. And this is for making half laps or dados, stuff like that. I have a dado stack in my table saw, so I'm not sure how much I would use that, but it is there if you need that type of those type of cuts. So lots of features. The shadow line feature, which I'll show in the next part when we go to do our cut demonstrations, is a very good feature. I enjoy that feature a lot. Definitely is a helpful feature. And then we'll go in, what we'll talk about now is we'll talk about dust collection. So the dust collection on this saw, if you read any other reviews, is absolutely horrendous. Not that any other miter saws are any better, but this one is particularly bad. I don't know if it's the fact that the dust chute comes directly out of the top versus ejecting it out the back, and it just blows all of it everywhere, or what, but it's really bad on this saw. And I'll show you in the next set of videos a demonstration of exactly how bad it is. So when you get the saw, it comes with this dust chute. Now, there's not much coverage around the side. It's very open. This little dust boot is pretty much useless. So this is really what is trapping, trying to suck all that dust up into this chute. So I looked around, and Travis at Shop Nation has designed and 3D printed an aftermarket dust chute assembly for this saw and other saws. So please, if you feel free, if you have this saw, if anybody getting this saw, please go ahead and invest in this ahead of time. It'll work out much in your favor. This 3D printed chute is a very rigid plastic, a nice rigid rubber boot here. Tremendous improvement over dust collection. Now, 2 things to keep in mind on this that I kind of learned the hard way a little bit. If you need to change this blade out, you cannot remove and install this blade without removing and installing the dust chute itself. So just keep that in mind. And also, to remove and install this dust chute, it attaches to the to the same attachment points as your old chute, except because this is more contained, it's much harder to get to. So make sure you got a T25 bit and a very long extension to get up inside of here to these two screws in the very back of this saw. So that is two things that you really need to, focus on this particular dust chute. Having the longer screw or having the longer extension, the T25 bit, and also if you need to replace the blade, you do have to remove the boot. So, but other than that, it works great. I'm very impressed with this saw. If you would like a more in-depth review of this saw, please leave me a comment and I'll work on that. But like I said, there's plenty of reviews out there over this saw that goes in much greater detail than I have. So let's get the saw set up. Demonstrations with this saw and just kind of go through a couple of things. So mention a really nice feature of this particular saw is the shadow line feature. I don't know if you can see it in the camera very well, but there's a light that shines down over the top of the blade. So in this case here, I've already marked a line here on this piece of wood. And maybe a little hard to see, but you can see how that shadow line shows up right on my line here. Kind of pull it back a little bit and make it a little easier to see the shadow line. But this is the shadow line here, and you can see it'll line up perfectly with whatever line I'm going to cut. Very accurate line to make the cut with. I'm just going to use it in the standard configuration without doing the sliding action. One thing I want to talk about here, this is a very wide opening, and in the future I'm going to make a zero clearance throat plate for this. I have some fast cap tape that I had on my other saw, and I also have looked at doing it on my table saw, but I'm a little concerned with this much of a gap with that fast cap tape, and it's still preventing getting pinched down in there. So I'll probably end up just making a standard throat plate, zero clearance throat plate for this saw. But we'll go ahead and we'll make some cuts here. First off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the dust collection on. And as I discussed earlier about the dust collection, I'm going to turn the dust collection on, make the first cut with dust collection, and then I'll make the second cut without it so you can see the difference in how much dust is being collected. Now you could definitely hopefully see as it was funneling that dust up into the actual chute itself. Whereas without dust collection, you can see on my hand, you can see everywhere. So you can really see the major difference in how well this dust collection works on this saw. Again, huge shout out to Travis at Shop Nation for this design. So we'll look at squareness. Right off the gate, perfectly square all around. Very good there. And then we'll make one last, we'll do a 45, miter 45 cut here. I'll turn dust collection back on. And we can look at a 45 cut. You know, perfect 45 here. I don't have my other tool with me, but very clean cut. This blade actually is really well for the stock blade that comes with it. I will probably eventually at some point swap this out for a CMT blade like I have on my table saw, or either a Diablo 60 tooth like I have on my other miter saw. But definitely a very good blade for the money, even out of the box. Very square. Only downside, obviously, is the dust collection, which can be much improved with a little extra investment. So that's it for this. So we'll get the saw, we'll get everything kind of cleaned up. We'll set it up, the stand up in its stowed configuration, and next we'll talk about the stand itself that it's sitting on. Thanks. A stand here, and this is a Hurcles brand miter saw stand from Harbor Freight. This stand is a Hurcles model 64751. Very nice stand for the price, and very convenient. This is the side view profile footprint in the stowed position, and this is the front view profile in the standard stowed position for this saw. So I like this because it's convenient. I can kind of just roll it out into the driveway when I need it, and then when I don't need it and put it away, it tucks nicely up here in this corner, out of the way, right up against the rest of my saws, and I don't have to worry about it. So nice convenience here. To set this saw up is pretty quick and straightforward. First step, you have two paddles that extend the front legs essentially. This leg has an adjustment for uneven surfaces. You just lay this back onto the legs. Come to the other side. Pick it up. Again, paddles release the legs. Set it down. And really at this point, your stand's set up that quick, real time. So a couple of features here on this stand. So you have two rollers, basically roller supports on each end, and they're adjusted up and down vertically using a small twist knob here. Now, keep in mind, whenever this is in the stowed position, this particular roller support needs to be up, as it has built-in feet that supports the stand from tipping forward. But you can adjust this down to give it a even surface with the bed of your saw. And you can get roller side action or non-rolling. I typically use this side as a stop block, so I'll set it a little bit higher and wherever I need my stop block. There's two paddles on each side that extends these support arms out about an extra 2.5 feet. So if you're using cutting for longer boards or need more support, that's what that can be used for. Very convenient. The arms here are universally mounted, so you can mount any type of saw. You can see behind me, this was my DeWalt saw that I had on here, and a little bit smaller footprint this way. So you can basically push in some buttons here and flip these paddles up, and you can adjust this in and out as needed. You can also loosen it up, and there's two set screws in the back, which I learned when I put this saw on because it's a little bit heavier. Tighten those up. That allows you can set this whole saw and move it left to right here, and then it comes with 4 attached bolts that are just kind of set in here in some built-in washer or built-in nuts, and that allows you to set this saw up forward and aft as you need. I pushed it back a little bit so that this part is pretty much center in line with each of the roller supports here. Only thing I wish this saw had a little better, and maybe it does, and this one's just kind of defective, is cord management for your cord, or even for the saw, or even the saw had some better cord management. It does have a small bracket here, which is like where you could wrap your cord up at, but it's on the wrong side of the saw. I don't know if that was a little defect in this saw, but I tried to take it off and remove it, but you have to disassemble the entire stand, and it didn't work out so well. So for now, I just take my cord and kind of just wrap it up out here, or wrap it around my clamp mechanism in the back. But that's really it for the saw. Great, again, great stand for the money, very reasonably priced, very convenient, especially if you got a small shop like this or you're doing job site work. So thank you guys for watching the video, and if you like, again, please feel free to comment if you'd like to see more on this, and see you next time. Thanks a lot.